before you scroll past. Yoruba civilization holds a secret that could rewrite everything you thought you knew. Before we dive into the main story, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell notification button for more interesting videos like this. Long before colonial borders carved West Africa into artificial shapes, the Yoruba civilization had already built a world of breathtaking complexity, one where myth shaped politics, where kings ruled but the people decided, where names carried destinies, and where respect wasn't a courtesy but the oxygen of society. It is a civilization whose roots run so deep that archaeologists are still trying to understand how its wisdom systems emerged fully formed, like ancient trees with no visible seedlings. But the real mystery? How did a people guided by gods, ancestors, and age-old customs create one of the most sophisticated political cultures Africa ever saw? Stay with this story, the answers pull you deeper than you expect. The gods who walked like men. In Yoruba cosmology, the line between gods and humans is thin, dangerously thin. The Yoruba believed the Ra with grave once walked the earth, teaching humanity how to farm, how to rule, how to wage war, and more importantly, how to maintain harmony with the unseen world. Ojua, Ogun, Sango, Obatala, Osun. These were not distant deities but protagonists in a cosmic drama, shaping both natural forces and political institutions. Myths were not entertainment, they were blueprints. If Ogun was the god of war and iron, then blacksmiths held sacred status. If Osun governed fertility and diplomacy, then marriage and negotiation carried divine significance. The result? A people who did not simply worship the divine, they lived inside its architecture. When democracy wasn't new, it was Yoruba. Centuries before Europe theorized democracy, the Yoruba practiced a system so balanced that modern political scientists still marvel at it. Take the Oyo Empire. The Alafin king ruled but he could be checked. The Iomasai, a council of nobles, could veto his decisions. And if a king ruled unjustly, they gave him an empty calabash, demanding he open a path for another king, a poetic way of saying abdicate or die. Likewise in Ife, the spiritual capital, decision-making wasn't left to one ruler but shared among priests, elders, guilds, and titled chiefs. Every settlement had a Baal, but behind him were councils of men and women, age-grade groups, craft associations, and powerful priesthoods. The Yoruba understood something the modern world often forgets. Power is safest when spread, not stacked. The kings who could not be gods. Yoruba kingship is one of history's greatest paradoxes. A king was sacred, yes. His crown was forbidden to be seen by the public, yes. He carried the spiritual weight of the kingdom, yes. But he was never above the law. He could not act without consultation. He could not wage war at will. He could not marry without balancing political alliances. He could not even walk freely without ritual protocol protecting the people from his sacred aura. While European monarchs claimed divine right, Yoruba rulers lived with divine responsibility, a burden so heavy that many declined kingship when chosen. And that raises a question still debated by scholars today. How did a society with kings build a system that looked more democratic than some modern nations? Marriage, not just love, a political technology. Among the Yoruba, marriage has never been a simple union of two people. It is an alliance between families, a bridge between lineages, an agreement between ancestors, and a negotiation between spiritual forces. Bride wealth was not a purchase, but an exchange of honor. Mothers held immense influence, paternal lineages maintained continuity, and women, contrary to many assumptions, were economic forces. Traders, property owners, priestesses, and political actors. A marriage tied networks together. A divorce could split communities apart. Every union was a small kingdom. Every family was a political institution. Politics was everywhere. In Yoruba civilization, politics was not a building in the capital. It was woven into daily life. Age grades determined social duties and collective service. Guilds governed crafts, markets, and trade routes. Women's associations, including powerful market queens, controlled economic justice. Palace societies managed rituals, diplomacy, and security. Secret societies like Ogboni ensured ethical governance. No Yoruba person lived outside politics. Even a child learned early who to greet, how to greet, when to kneel, when to prostrate, when to speak, and when silence was the loudest wisdom. Which leads to one of the Yoruba's deepest cultural codes. Respect, the invisible economy. To understand the Yoruba, you must understand Ibowo respect. Respect was not etiquette. It was not an option. It was the backbone of cosmic balance. A young person who didn't greet elders properly wasn't rude, they were spiritually reckless. A guest who didn't show humility risked misfortune. Names of elders were spoken with caution. Praise was given with poetry. Reprimand came in proverbs. Respect wasn't about status but the belief that every person carries invisible power, their ori, destiny, their ancestors, their personal energy. To disrespect someone was to disturb that energy. To respect them was to align with it. The name that carries a destiny. No other culture treats names as carefully as the Yoruba. A name isn't chosen, it is revealed. A child born during hardship may be named Babatunde, the father returns. A long-awaited daughter might be Yatund, the mother has come again. A child born into wealth becomes Ade, crown, into joy becomes Ayo, into destiny becomes Ife, into prophecy becomes Aluwa, into legacy becomes Ola. To name a child is to declare their path. To speak that name daily is to guide that path. Some names open doors. Some protect. Some warn. Some elevate. Every Yoruba name is a story, a prayer, a memory, a prophecy. And sometimes, just sometimes, it is a secret. For centuries, Yoruba civilization has guarded one profound mystery. How did a society guided by spirits, governed by councils, ruled by kings, and sustained by ancient customs build systems so advanced that modern nations still study them? The answer lies hidden in a part of Yoruba history rarely discussed publicly. A place where myth and politics merge. Where one king made a decision that changed the fate of millions. And where a forgotten prophecy still echoes today. Want more stories like this? Hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our story because this is just getting started. If you want the next chapter, subscribe now. Don't miss what happens next.